90% of millionaires invest in real estate, but is becoming an investor as a landlord right for you? Let's look at the 6 key things to know before becoming a landlord. Hi everyone, I'm Anna and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about our household's rental real estate journey and share some of the things that we learned along the way that will be important for you to know if you're looking to become a landlord to start generating what is a popular path of wealth creation and source of passive income. Why should you consider this? Over the course of my videos, you know that I share with you my insights on the millionaire mindset so that I can guide you as we move through the journey of wealth creation together. If you haven't already, I suggest that you watch my video, link provided above, on the 4 habits of millionaires. But here is a 5th: 90% of millionaires invest in real estate. And here we'll discuss if this is something you should consider doing too. A bit about myself. My husband has a rental property in the suburbs, and I have a property in downtown Chicago. So to provide some real life examples, we'll look at these properties side by side as we compare these 2 investments. These 2 properties are particularly good to compare as they were purchased nearly at the same price point, $267,000 on the townhome and $270,500 on the downtown condo, only purchased 8 months apart 16 years ago. Total coincidence, as my husband and I didn't meet till years later. We've all heard that we should try it to get multiple streams of income. You may have a full-time job, you may even have a second or third job, but the goal is to increase passive income so you don't have to work for someone else forever, right? But is becoming a landlord right for you? Let's look into the 6 things you should know before becoming a landlord. The first one is to invest in an area that you know well. You should look at the location to see how well the properties are appreciating in the area, if the neighborhood is safe, maybe how good the schools are, and to make sure that you are close enough to the property to be able to address issues in the properties as they arise. And a good starting point, if you are like me and my husband, it may be a place that you are currently living in. When you're looking to move, you consider whether converting these personal residences to rentals, as we did when we got married and got a place together. We lived in our homes long enough to know the area and decided to move forward with converting them into rental properties. Second thing to know is being a landlord will require work. Just like many sources of what we call passive income, being a landlord is no different in that it does require some active work, especially on the front end when you are researching whether or not a certain property is a good investment. And whenever there's turnover, where tenants leave and you have to find new tenants, in the early landlord years, for example, we would spend a weekend as a team to repaint the walls. Now we hire professionals, but these are the time and money costs that you'll want to factor in. You'll want recommendations and build a network of professionals from people around you, such as reliable cleaners, painters, plumbers, and other maintenance professionals. Moreover, if you were doing your own taxes and you aren't a CPA, once you become a landlord, you should definitely hire a tax professional to do your taxes going forward. There are several tax benefits, some of which I'll mention later, that you are better off leaving to a professional to make sure you are getting everything captured correctly. The third thing to know is understanding the cost of having a property manager. If you aren't going to be close to the rental property or you don't want to deal with the hassle of managing it, you can always hire a property manager, and that may be ideal, especially if you travel often, but that will cut significantly into your profits. The typical cost range for a property manager is 8 to 12% of the monthly rent collected. Because of this, we actually don't use property managers, and my husband is the first line of defense in addressing issues at the suburban townhome. And for my downtown property, there is a maintenance team on site that is available to handle quick fixes like clogged drain. The fourth thing to know is to prepare for the unexpected vacancy and emergency repair fund. The vacancies we'll talk about further later, but as far as repairs, just like any home, you'll need to be prepared for funding the unexpected. For example, last year the dishwasher in the Chicago property stopped working after 15 years of being in use. The replacement set us back about $700. And then just a month later in the other property, there was an unexpected roof repair that cost us another $2,500. You might be able to live without that dishwasher or take more time in getting a roof repaired, but with tenants, you'll want to take care of issues right away. The 5th thing to know is to research the rules of the association for renting out. The Townhome Association doesn't have a waiting list for allowing townhome property owners to rent. We've been fortunate enough to successfully secure tenants within 2 weeks of listing in the property, and the tenants have generally been long-term tenants, which reduces the pressure of trying to find a replacement tenant, which could lead to lost rent. However, the Chicago property is quite different. There are significant costs that come into play for the condo. For example, there are high association dues. The association dues for the condo is 3 times that of the townhome. Remember that these properties were purchased at a similar price and are even of similar value now. The second thing is that the transfer and move-in fee for the condo is extremely high. $900 the last time I checked. You can recover some of these costs if you agree upon it in advance. It's just something we don't even have to worry about with the townhome. The third thing is that with the condo, there is a long waiting list. There have been periods of months where I had to wait to get off the waiting list to be able to rent out my property. Think about that lost rent. But then, even after I'm off the waiting list, I would sometimes have only a window of 1 to 3 months to find a replacement tenant to keep my spot in line, which forces me to bring down the advertised rent to find a tenant in time. These waiting lists can run 2 or more years in certain properties, so make sure you learn about these renting policies before deciding to make a property an investment property for you. The final thing to know is to have a long-term mindset, just like you do with the stock market. That way you can take advantage of the 3 ways that you can make money in rental properties. You probably can think of the first 2 benefits. The first one being the obvious, the rental income that you collect, which is hopefully above the costs, including the mortgage, maintenance, property management fees, association dues, or anything else that might be applicable. The second is appreciation, which is the potential increase in property value over time. For example, if you bought a property for $250,000 and it comes time to sell 20 years later, say the property increased in value to $500,000. Now you've made an additional $250,000 in property appreciation on top of the net rental income that you've made over the years. The third thing are the various tax benefits. As I mentioned earlier, you'll want to hire a CPA at this point, and I won't get into too much detail, but high level, you can get a tax-free loan from the tax appreciation of your home. In other words, every year you can take an expense, which is actually just an expense on paper, not an actual cash outflow, which is a tax break that results in an interest-free loan that comes back to you in the form of a tax refund each year. You don't have to repay this interest-free loan until you actually sell the property, or even later if you decide to replace it with another property with what is called a 1031 exchange. This concept is, again, a bit beyond the purposes of this video, but high level, a 1031 exchange is a real estate investing tax strategy that allows investors to replace an investment property for another property to postpone that tax that you would pay at the time of sale, which includes the interest-free loan that you got from the depreciation expense you took over the years. Ultimately, whether the loan is over 15 years or 30 years, the goal is that if you picked your properties right, you'll have rental income that covers your expenses with something left over during the life of the loan, and when the mortgages are paid off, you'll have a source of substantial passive income for years to come. Anyway, that's a wrap. I hope these 6 things to know before becoming a landlord has helped you decide whether or not becoming a real estate investor as a landlord is right for you, and if you decide to move forward into the path of what 90% of millionaires do, which is investing in real estate, that you've walked away with some key things that will help you in knowing what kind of information to research as you target your first or next rental real estate property. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and comment below on what other tips you'd like to share. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so now. Have a great rest of your day.